friends and welcome back to another video. My name is Julie if you're new here, and today I'm going to give you 5 summer romance recommendations. So the last few days of summer have begun now, sadly, at least where I live, and therefore I thought it would be a good idea to go against the flow and give you some summer romance recommendations so we can keep summer going a little longer if you are like me and not ready for autumn to start yet. Because even though it has been so warm for so long, I think I could use a little escapism, and just the thought of vacation is something that I need. I haven't really been on vacation this summer, and I at least need that in books now, so I can calm down and think about relaxing under palm trees, enjoying some cool beverages and feeling the summer heat on your skin. That sounds awesome, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is the kind of vibe that the books have that I'm going to recommend to you today. The first book that I want to tell you about is one that might be good if you want a transition between a real, like, full-on summer romance and then fall books, because that is quite the difference and maybe you need a transition between that. But it's maybe also good if you don't want to read the most traditional summer romance where it is all about the beach, because this is set in a coastal town. But I can guarantee you it is still a summer romance, especially because it has summer even in the title. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book is about Piper, and Piper is a city girl. And not just a random one, she is pretty rich and she is a huge it girl. She lives in a big city, I think she lives in LA, and then one day she just parties way too hard because I think her boyfriend breaks up with her, and then she decides to go all in and spend the night just drinking and partying, and ends up being arrested for that. And to get out of that misery, her sister has to help her out, and her stepdad says, enough is enough, this can't go on like this, you need to calm down and get your life together. And that is why she ends up in Westport. Westport is a really small coastal town where her dad used to live, and he had this kind of pub there, or maybe it's a dive bar, I'm not sure. And she goes there with her sister to learn to live on her own and be more responsible. And this is where she meets Brendan. And Brendan is the total opposite of her. She is a sunshine and he is really grumpy. He is one of the fishermen in town, and let's just say that he isn't fond of her the first time that they meet. But Piper really wants to prove herself now to her stepdad and also to the people just around her in that town. And that's why she and her sister end up renovating the bar that she inherited from her father. And of course, Brendan sooner or later ends up helping her with that. And this romance is really almost perfection to me. The only thing that I didn't enjoy as much was, in the end, there's like the slight miscommunication between the two main characters, and I don't enjoy the miscommunication trope, but it really wasn't anything major. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, a romance set on this really small coastal town where everyone knows everyone and two girls get to know their family history, then definitely pick this book up. There's also a second part of it about her sister, which I've also read. It's also really good. I like that one even better than the first one, so definitely go for the duology if you enjoyed the first one. The next book is one that you should definitely pick up if you really enjoy a quirky heroine. It is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This book tells the story of Catalina. She really needs someone to come with her to her sister's wedding in Spain, which is where she is from and her family is from. And she really searches someone desperately. She has tried everything, but it really isn't easy to find someone who is willing to fly from New York to Spain to accompany her. And she only has a really short time left to find someone, only 4 weeks, and she has told her family that somebody is coming with her, which wasn't true. But then someone decides to step in and help her. But it is someone really unexpected. It is her enemy co-worker, Aaron Blackford. And they really can't stand each other. They had some troubles in the past, and she doesn't understand why he wants to join her on this trip or why he would help her. So she is very skeptical, but in the end she really doesn't have any other choice but to say yes, because the time window gets closer and closer and she can't find anyone else. So in the end she ends up picking him and going with him to Spain. And obviously they have to pretend to be a couple in front of her family, and you can guess how that goes. I think I would recommend this book to you if you like a quirky main character, if you enjoy reading about Spain or Spanish culture, and like summer wedding. And what I think really stood out in this book was the male main character. He was really lovely. Even though they hated each other in the beginning, he turns out to be the most wonderful guy. And if you like a good enemies to lover story, this book is it. Next up we have The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther, which is, I have to say, my least favorite out of all of these books, but it's still good. I think you would enjoy this book if you also enjoyed The Summer I Turned Pretty, because to me it had some really similar vibes. This book is about Meredith, and she has been going to Martha's Vineyard with her family for a long time every summer. And this year is a little different because her sister has passed away and now she has to be there with her family, and there's also a wedding celebration going on, and yeah, she just has to deal with her feelings a lot. And then they play this game that they have been playing, as it seems, every summer so far. It's called Assassin, and they have to draw a person and then shoot them with water. And then the last one standing wins. And Meredith really focuses on that game and she wants to win it for her sister. But then her target turns out to be this really cute boy, and she doesn't want to be distracted from the game, but maybe that's what happens. So I think this book would be good for you if you're into reading more tame romances that are more for a younger audience maybe also. And if you also enjoy deeper themes that are a little bit more emotional and working through stuff, that is the right book for you. Next up we have another really well-known summer romance by a writer duo. It is The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. This book has a really fun premise. It is about Olive, and Olive is always unlucky. And her sister is the total opposite. She's always lucky. She ends up winning everything. But it's not just about winning, it's also about her whole life, her career, her love life, just in general. But then when her sister gets married, that kind of gets turned around, because her sister ends up being sick and her husband is as well, and that's why Olive and the best man have to go on that honeymoon trip that her sister has won. They have that trip booked and they can't cancel it, and it would be really stupid not to go and to just leave that. And that's why Olive and Ethan decide to go to Hawaii and just spend the honeymoon together. But with that come more and more problems, because they have to pretend to be Olive's sister and her husband. And then they end up meeting someone there, and it's just this huge thing that it turns into, and they have to pretend to be a couple. So it's also a fake dating romance. And they also have to do that despite not even liking each other. That was the part of the book that I didn't like that much. It was really marketed as an enemies to lovers romance, but they weren't really enemies. Like, yeah, they were bickering and stuff, but that's not what enemies to lovers is to me. So if you're expecting that, I don't think this book is the best choice. I think this book is good for you if you want a really fun premise with a lot of humor in it, but then also like a big third act conflict where a lot shifts and there's this dramatic turn of events in the end, which isn't really my cup of tea, but if you enjoy that, this book is great. And the last book of my popular romance recommendations is The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. And this was a book that I enjoyed so much. I ended up giving it 5 stars. This book is about Poppy and Alex, and it's kind of friends to lovers, and it's kind of also a second chance romance because these two have been friends for a long time and they have spent every summer together since they've known each other, I believe. So they have spent a lot of vacations together. But then one summer something happens and they end up not talking for 2 whole years. So their friendship has kind of gone down the drain. And because Poppy is also traveling for her work, she works as someone who writes about traveling and stuff. She's kind of working for a travel magazine, something like that. She really reflects on her travels and what makes her happy in life, and she realizes that she really misses her friend, Alex, and that traveling with him really was a thing that made her happy in her life, and that's why she decides to reconnect with him. But that can be really scary and overwhelming if you haven't talked to someone for 2 years, and it is really hard to make the first step. But she does, and she manages to do that successfully, and they end up talking again and end up going on this summer trip together. And I thought this story was so good. It was really honest and raw, and I just felt the emotions, and it was just so good. If you enjoy more of a slow burn romance and books where conflicts don't get resolved that quickly, but the characters really have to work hard for the conflicts to be resolved, I think this is a really good book for you. And it also has a lot of cool traveling stuff in it. So these were 5 popular summer romances that I have read, and I hope you found at least one that you know maybe you want to try out, and maybe you even get to enjoy them in the last few days of summer sun. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!